Here we go again. Hello and welcome into Ray on Sport. I am your host, Johnny Ray. In this podcast, we talk all things sports from my own opinion. You may agree or you may disagree, but all I do is ask that you listen. So come on in, buckle up, and let's take this ride. Welcome to Ray on Sports. This is Johnny Ray. I'm here. Sorry, I'm doing some checklisting, some checking. Baby, morning, good morning. Welcome here. This is a Thursday, January 22nd, 2026. And we are coming to you live from the Ray on Sports studio here in Lancaster, California. And this week, we talk some football. My team got decimated on Saturday, but we can talk about that. We're also going to talk some Bus family drama. Ooh, Jeanie Bus. And also, that's about it right now. Oh, NBA, maybe some NBA, but I don't have too much in NBA right now. So let's get right into it. Over the weekend, we had some NBA playoff craziness. Crazy. When I say craziness, so far it started off this NBA weekend. NFL weekend. Start off with my San Francisco 49ers losing horribly, tremendously, roughly to the Seattle Seahawks, 41-6 in Seattle. Now, I got all the criticism. I got all the stuff from people because, I'm a diehard Niner fan, ride or die. Got all that, got everything. I got everything. I took everything because, for me, it's not a, it's my team, and we lose, we lose, we win. I celebrate when we lose. Sitting, that's all. So I didn't have an issue with anything anybody said to me, anything anybody said about me, anything that anybody said about the game, because they were all true. We had San Francisco played a bad game. They ran up against a buzzsaw in Seattle's defense, which they calling themselves, I think, the dark side, the black hole, something like that. But yeah, it was not a good game all the way around. A lot of things went wrong in that game from the beginning kickoff to halfway through to everything. Sorry, let me get a little sip in. See, you got the logo. You got my Niner cup. Bam, bang, bang, Niner game for life. But anyway, that game was horrible. Like I said, from the first snap, first kickoff, 95-yard kickoff return by Rashid Shaheed. That set the tone right there. As soon as that happened, I was like, oh my God, we're in for a long day. My wife's yelling in the background, saying stuff like, oh my God. And I'm like, what happened? And she's like, he ran it back for a touchdown. I'm like, what? And I'm thinking it's the Niners. And she's like, no, it's Seattle. And I'm like, oh, so in a long night. So after that, it just went downhill from there. Couldn't score, couldn't run the ball, couldn't do anything. Brock did his best. We were out. George Kittle went out. Christian McCaffrey got hurt. George Kittle backup, Tunjan, got hurt halfway through the game. We were just decimated on all facets of the game. We were decimated on defense. We were decimated on offense. The only person that was actually, was there for a starter was Brock Purdy and Juwan Jennings, but I think he wasn't 100%. Ricky Pearsall came back, but I don't think he was 100%. He was just trying to beat, it's the thing when you're playing. When you come back from an injury, usually that first game back is not really a good game for you unless you're like this outstanding athlete. So you do have issues. You do have problems. You do have struggles that you deal with. And so that first game back usually is rough because you're trying to make it back, especially in a big game like that. That was the divisional rounds. So you're trying to make it back. You're trying to do something for your team. You're trying to prove something, to get your team going. But with everything going on and from everybody I've heard, for San Francisco just to make it that far with all the injuries they had throughout the year was amazing. There's no way that any team should have made it that far with the injuries that San Francisco went through this year. But it is what it is. I believe they're looking into it because they're saying that something was wrong with the there's a story going out right now that there's some EMF on the side of the stadium where I'm trying to see. Yeah, there's some EMF on the side of the practice facility where the 49ers practice at that's causing the injuries because I heard it from my nephew had told me about it, over the weekend. Said, there was a report out there. And so I looked it up, and some scientists have looked at it and said there's something that was built by the Silicon Valley Power in 2014 and extended it, and it was next to Levi Stadium, and somehow it's bringing out, it's pushing out EMFs. And what they're saying is that if EMF affects the skin and the bones, it makes your bones deteriorate faster. So they're saying that has something to do with the injuries. But the 49ers have done their due diligence. They're looking into every aspect. They're not saying it is. They're not saying it's not. But everybody's looking into it because everybody's said something about it. I mean, Kendrick Bourne said it. He said when George Kittle went down, he said something about it. So they're looking at all from a quote from John Lynch is saying that they're looking at all aspects of it because it was like, it's catastrophic what happened. Think about this. You lose your three best, you lose your three best players. Nick Bosa, torn ACL. Fred Warner, broken ankle. George Kittle, Achilles. Those are season-ending injury. You missed your first round pick, Mikael Williams, torn ACL. Throughout the season, Brock Purdy went out with turf toe. Ricky Pearsall had a sprained knee and ankle. Juwan Jennings went out with ribs, shoulder, and ankle injuries. And Tatum Bethune on defense went out with a groin injury. And over that was half your squad. That was 90% of your squad for any team. And for any team to go through all of that and still make it to the divisional round, that's amazing. That's great coaching on all ends, on defense, on offense, and on special teams. So for the Niners to make it that far with what they had was outstanding, but wasn't enough. Like I said, they lost to the Seattle Seahawks. Oh my God, 41-6. Bad game all the way around. Not too much to say about it. I saw the game. It was rough. But anyway, on to the next game. Los Angeles Rams, Chicago Bears. Rams beat the Bears in overtime. I didn't see the whole game. I didn't see none of the game, actually, because I'm not a Rams fan, so I don't care. No, anyway. I'm trying to be unbiased on this podcast, but it is my podcast, so I can say whatever I want to say because it's mine. But Rams beat the Bears. I thought the Bears had that game. I thought that game was in the bag, and then the Rams came back and pulled it off in overtime, marched down the field, got the winning field goal, win an overtime 20-17 over the Bears. Now the Rams have to go to Seattle and play the Seahawks. And I believe the last time they played, they lost. But we'll see. Seattle's defense reminds me of the Ravens defense, the Super Bowl championship defense. That the Ravens didn't have that best quarterback, but their defense carried them along the way. You have teams over the year that had great defenses that have won them Super Bowls over the years. And this Seahawks team, this one, the 2025 Seahawks team, reminds me of those great defenses. That if you have that outstanding defense, your quarterback don't have to do that much. You just got to be what they call a game manager. So what I'm saying to, what's his name from Seattle? God, oh my God, I can't think of the quarterback. Just looted my mind just that fast. Oh God, what is his name? Name. I'll get to it. I'll get the name. But that's all you need. Sam Darnold. There he is. Sam Darnold. I said Sam Darnold. All Sam Darnold will have to do is be Sam Darnold. Don't turn the ball over. Manage the game and let your defense take over and stop the Rams. And I think the Rams are going to be without Zach Chaminade, because he has a knee injury. I don't know if he's going to play or not. I haven't seen the game time stats. But yeah, he might not play. But yeah, that's a huge game. And with all that went on with the Seahawks, the Rams-Seahawks game, if I had to pick right now, I probably would take the Seahawks because they're at home. I might give a slight edge to the Rams because they've been there before. This is the Seahawks' first time. Don't know, but we'll see. And the second game on the playoffs is going to be the Patriots versus the Broncos. That's going to be a good game because the Broncos won over the weekend. They beat the Bills. Josh Allen took them out. And see, here's the fallout from all that, from the Bills Broncos. The fallout from that was they lost their coach. I've heard one of my best, radio shows that I listened to on ESPN, Freddie and Harry, talk about it yesterday. How it's not just Josh. I mean, it's just not the coach's fault that they lost. It's the all around, makeup of the team. Josh Allen didn't have anybody. He did the best with what he had, and to get him that far. Another team that did the best with what they had and got him that far. But at the end of the day, the owner comes out and says, "Well, after the loss, I made my decision." So the owner said it was on me. Got rid of the coach. We got to start new. People stop listening. We have hit that proverbial playoff wall where we don't think we can go any further than what we had. So it's time for a change. And that happens in sports. You have a coach that's been there for years. I think he's been there 9 years. And sometimes the players just tune him out. It's just like if you listen to the same teacher for 9 years, after a while it tunes you get tuned out to it. It's not like this. It's not a great teacher. It's just for you've heard enough, and you don't have the same motivation that you had when they first got there, if I put it like that. It happens in every sport. It happens in every walk of life. You're at church, and you go into a church for all your life, and you have the same pastor for over 25 years, and he says things, and you're like, yeah, that's him. That's just the way he preaches. And he says stuff to you, and you don't listen, or you listen to it, and it really doesn't resonate as much with you. But then somebody, and I've made this point, during my our church, and we've had like a Bible study or a Sunday school or something like that. I've made that point where our pastor can come up and say something, and it resonates with you, but it doesn't really resonate because you're like his pastor, and he that's what he says, or that's how he says it, or whatever. And then you get somebody else new come in, not new, for the church or whatever it is, but somebody with a different voice, and they say the exact same thing, and it hits you different, and you're like, oh my God, did you hear what he said? And I look at people like, pastor been saying that for years, but because it's a different voice, then you hear it. And I've talked to people about that, and they're like, yeah, that's fine. It's not like that they're not listening to the message. It's just they're hearing it different, and whatever, it's not about the person, it's about the message. So if I say something and they don't get it, and somebody else says the next same thing I say, but they get it, I'm still happy, because as long as they're getting the message, as long as it's resonating. And I think that's what's happening with the Bills, is that the coach is talking and they're hearing it, but they're not really getting it. So if somebody else new comes in, gives them the same message, they're gonna hear it, and it's gonna be the same. It's probably gonna be the same thing. He's probably gonna be the same X's and O's. He's gonna, give the same rally speeches, but it's just the way he presents it, and might rally the team, and they're like, okay, that's all we needed. But we'll see how it works out, because Josh Allen is an outstanding MVP, Hall of Famer quarterback that they have. But he needs some weapons. He doesn't have any weapons around him. He doesn't have anything around him. So he's literally doing it. If Josh doesn't do it, they don't win, kind of thing. Same with, it's a couple other quarterbacks that are like that, but for the most part, it's Josh. Now, there's other quarterbacks, which I heard yesterday, that like Patrick Mahomes. He doesn't care who's around him. Patrick Mahomes had devastating injuries in his on his team, and he still found a way to win because he was that kind of quarterback. He could work with anything. If he didn't have the right receiver, then whoever they plugged in there, he said, okay, this is what you got to do. You get here, I'll get you the ball, or you do this and you get open, I'll get it to you. And they've done that, and he succeeded. So it's not just about the quarterback. It's not just about the team. It's a full team effort. It's not just about one person. So that's what it is. So going forward, that's my Ring doorbell going off. I got alarms all over this house. I got to see what's going on. Can't be too careful. Can't be too careful. So anyway, so in that game, in Patriots Broncos, it's at Denver, but Denver's starting quarterback is out, so they're going with a backup. If the Patriots and Drake May can hold it down, they might have a chance, and the Patriots will be back in the Super Bowl. Who'd thunk it? But we will see. But in that game, I don't know. I want to take the Patriots because, just because Bo Nix is not playing for the Broncos. But I want to take the Broncos because they're at home and they have a good coach. And God, what's that guy's name? Oh my God, I can't think of his name. But I'll get his name. I'll get the coach's name in a minute. Because I don't want to give out bad information. God, I can't think of his name. His name is at the tip of my tongue, but I can't think of it right now. Coach. Denver Broncos. Their coach. Sean Payton. There it is. Sean Payton. So with Sean Payton, Denver Broncos coach, I think he is outstanding because he had Drew Brees in New Orleans, and he motivated Drew Brees. He's that kind of coach, and he did the same thing with Bo Nix. He motivated him. And look where they're at right now. They're number one seed in the AFC, and they're hosting the AFC Championship game. So that says something for the coaching. Sean Payton's an older coach, but he came in there, and whatever he did, whatever magic he did to get him there, he got him there. Same thing with New England. They got Mike Vrabel, who was a coach in Tennessee. And Tennessee got rid of him because they said that the players had tuned him out. So Vrabel takes his coaching skills to New England, and look what he does. Brought them to the number 2 seed in the AFC. And one thing I think I said this on my last podcast, that Vrabel, one thing he does after every game, and I saw he did it after the divisional rounds, was in a tunnel, high-fiving every member of the team that came back. And see, that's, little things like that resonate with players, resonate with teammates. You do little things like that. It's like a thing where I think back in the day, Tom Brady would, gift his whole O-line, offensive line, because of the job they did. He would give them, gifts for Christmas and things like that. And that motivates you to play better for the person that you're blocking for, you're covering for, Brock Purdy, I believe he did that for his O-line. A lot of quarterbacks, they say like quarterback, a lot of quarterbacks do that for their O-line. And what it does is to motivate them to block better and block harder for you because, he sees me kind of thing. I may not get all the accolades, but my quarterback sees me. My quarterback, appreciates what I'm doing for him. And that comes to motivation of a team, a coach, in every aspect of NFL, NBA, and Major League Baseball. Some coaches, they can motivate in a good way, and it keeps their tenure there. And no matter what player you get in there, they understand you. Great example is Greg Popovich from the Spurs. He was a great motivator. He had Tim Duncan, he had David Robinson. I'm sorry. He had Tim Duncan, he had David Robinson, he had all those great players. He had that great team in San Antonio that won 5 rings. But he was a great motivator. And no matter who came in there, they played for him because they said, you want to play for Pop? Because even players that didn't play for him respected him and said, yeah, I respected Pop. And what it is it's motivation, but it's also not letting, players get away with certain things. If this is your rules on any player, then it goes across the board. If the coach is telling you, look, we're going to be here for 5 a.m. for workouts, everybody should show up at 5 a.m., not just the second string players and the stars come in whenever they feel like it. No. And the coach has to hold them accountable for that. Hey, everybody's going to be here at 5. So I need you to be here at 5 because you're the leader of the team. If you're not here at 5, then it's like the scenario of you're in the classroom and the teacher's talking. And that one person that's supposed to be the head of the class, kind of that student that everybody looks up to or looks around to, not really idolizes, but they kind of gravitate towards them. So the teacher is teaching, and then the students look at that one student and say, "Is he paying attention? Oh, he's paying attention. Okay, we're gonna pay attention." That is that kind of mentality that some people have, that they look to their star and say, "If he's doing it, I'm gonna do it. If that player is going to pay attention, I'm gonna pay attention." And it happens all the time in sports. If your star does this, I'm gonna do it. A Tom Brady, if he's a motivator, the whole team's motivated. Patrick Mahomes, if he's motivated, the whole team's motivated. That's when they make the. Whoa, hey, how you doing? Get in your room. Hold on. Go get in your room. Go get in your room. Sorry, that's my dog. That's one of our dogs. One of our dogs jumping around. Craziness. Whoa. That was crazy right there. Hold on one second. And I'm back. So had a little hiccup right there. One of my dogs came in the house and kind of threw me off because I was sitting here and I didn't see him coming, and he came at me. He's like a baby German Shepherd, but he kind of scared, kind of rattled me a little bit. So I had to gather myself together. And then my other 2 dogs, I have 2 Yorkies that just crazy. One's name is Minnie, one name is Cooper. Together we call them Mini Cooper. but anyway, they kind of they go off every time they see him. So I don't know why. I don't know why little dogs get mad at big dogs and want to fight them. Anyway, so back to what I was talking about. Motivation. Like I said, if a star is motivated, the whole team is motivated in any sport. We have stars like Kobe Bryant's, the Tom Brady's, the Patrick Mahomes, the whatever whatever star is, maybe sport. You motivate it. It motivates the entire roster. And if the coach can motivate you, if the coach can get to the star player, then everybody else can get motivated. If and so same thing in church. If the pastor has somebody up there speaking, and that person speaking, you can kind of see it. Like when that person's up there speaking and people don't respond to him, but they look over to the pastor and the pastor start responding. And they go, "Oh yeah, he responded. I'm responding too," kind of thing. It's weird and it's not right, but it happens. And it's not a thing that people think they know they do. They see it and it really doesn't click that they're doing it. But I observe stuff like that. I'm looking like, okay, well, wait a minute. They responded because he's responding. But he ain't responding, they ain't gonna respond, kind of thing. And it's like, well, what is he gonna do it? Okay, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. So that's just in leadership in general. If you have a great leader, people get motivated in any aspect. So if you are a leader in any aspect of life, if you're a working leader, if you're a sports leader, if you're anything, you gotta get the attention of your teammates. You gotta get attention of the people around you, and they get motivated from you. If they don't see you motivated, they're not gonna be motivated. If you're a supervisor at a job and you have a management style and management tells you to do something and your employees look at you and says, well, they just said this, what are we going to do about it? They're looking for your reaction. They're going to see what you're going to do about it. And if you say, I don't care what they say, your employee's going to be like, he don't care, I don't care. It's a trickle down. So it's a waterfall, what they call a waterfall effect. So be motivated in anything you do because you never know who's looking at you. Even if you're not a leader, you're a leader to somebody. And that's my tip for the day. I always have a tip. I always have something that I want to put out there, positive to people, not just positive, but just a tip for somebody. And here it is. If you're a leader, even if you don't think you're a leader to somebody. There's somebody looking up to you. There may be if you have kids, there's kids that look up to you. If you have nieces and nephews, there's a niece and nephew look up to you. You have younger siblings, they're looking up to you. Somebody's looking up to you. You say, well, I ain't got nobody looking up to me. You never know. Depends on what it doesn't even depend on what walk of life you're in, what situation you're in. There's always somebody looking at you going, if they can do it, I can do it. If you see, even for me, I see a person on the street that's homeless, but I see them, getting around and pushing around and doing the things they need to do to get warm, get comfortable. It motivates me. Or, it sparks something in me like, wow, if they can do it, I can do it. And I got more stuff than they do, but they're making it work with what they got. So let me stop complaining about what I have and make it work with what I got. And that's what motivation is. People look at you and they look at the things you do and the things you say and how you say them and how you respond to things. And that's what motivates them. So you have to walk a positive life, live a positive life. Don't focus so much on the negative and focus more on your positive, because your positive is the ones that's going to make it for you. You may have some everybody has negatives, that's life. Life be life, and as they say. You have some ups, you have some downs, you have some good days, you have some bad days, but it's how you handle those days that makes a difference. So if you handle your bad days like your good days, you can be pretty good. You don't have to have these depression, these put your head under the cover days, or don't want to get up to bed days, because you got to look at the good things. Yeah, you might not have that much money in the bank, but you got a roof over your head. Positive. Your bills due, but you're still living. Positive. You might have an ache in your knee, but you're still living. Positive. You got to pull the positive out of everything. And my wife tells me all the time, you always pull the positive out of stuff. I always pull the positive, because you have to. That's what keeps you going. If I sit there and let's think of all the negative things that happen in my life, I probably wouldn't be here doing this podcast right now, because I would think, why am I doing a podcast? Because, for what? But it's a tool that I like, because I'm into talking. I'm into sports. I'm into motivation. I'm not a motivational speaker, but I'm into motivating people. I always try to pull something good out of people. And then I've learned how to deal with different people in different areas. I'm still learning. I don't know everything about everything, but I try my best to learn people and know what motivates them and what doesn't motivate them. Like some people, you can say certain things to them a certain way and they'll get it. Just like in sports, a coach can say a certain thing to a certain person a certain way and they'll get it. And you say it to another person a different way and they'll get it. It's just you gotta read the people. You gotta say, okay, this person responds to this kind of talk, but this person only responds to this kind of talk. I'm giving the same message, but I'm giving it a different way, if that makes sense. So that's what you have to do when you motivate somebody. And I got on motivation. Wow, that was pretty good. But anyway, that's that. The only other thing I was going to talk about was the Bus family drama. Wow. And that's another hour and a half talk, but I don't want to be on here hour and a half talking about the bus. But the basics of it is that the basis of the story, if you haven't read about it, that the family of Jerry Buss, the siblings of Jerry Buss, I think he had 6 of them. They're all coming out with their versions of what happened. They're saying that Jeanie Buss fired everybody. And if you don't know, I'm talking about the Laker organization. I'm talking about Jerry Buss. I'm talking about his family, his siblings, Jeanie, Jean, Johnny, Joe. It's a bunch of them. It's 6 of them, I believe. And then that there was a whole bunch of infighting. There was a whole bunch of drama with the family, and Jared they decided to sell the team to an outside person, a billionaire who owns the Dodgers. And they sold the team for I think it's $40 billion, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that. Got to look it up. But one part of the deal was that Jeanie Buss stays on as the governor of the team. And so the siblings are upset, and they're saying that Jeanie fired everybody. And it was her thing. But from sources I know, and don't quote me on that because I don't want to get sued by the Buss family or anybody who knows the actual story. But from what I've heard is that even before Jerry died, Jeanie was supposed to be the person to take over. The brothers thought it was supposed to be them. Everybody else thought it was supposed to be them. But from player perspectives, older players and stuff have already said that Jeanie was always the heir apparent when her dad passed, because she was the one that was there. She was the one learning the business. She was the one that knew everything, and she knew how to run the team like he ran the team. And for the most part, even though they haven't won a championship, Lakers haven't won a championship since she's been there. They won one since she's been there. And the significant trades they have made, or people they brought in LeBron James after he passed. not after LeBron passed. After Jerry Buss passed, that Jeanie brought in LeBron James. She brought in Anthony Davis, and now they just got Luka Doncic. And that's one of those things that her dad would have did. Her dad would have did whatever it took to get a championship to the team and get a outstanding caliber player to, bring in people. Even if they don't win, they're bringing in revenue. They're bringing in people. They're bringing in a star to the team. And Luka's that next star. So they had Kobe, and they transitioned to LeBron, and now they transitioned to Luka. And that's great ownership, because you got to know, you're not winning right now, but you're at a winning level. You're making the playoffs, but you're also filling the seats, if that makes sense. And you got to have a star there to fill those seats. And Luka's that star. Now, as far as the supporting cast around him, that still needs to be work to be done. I think right now the Lakers are sitting 8th maybe 7th in the West right now in the standings. They started off real hot, but then the injury bug hit them, of course. And yeah, they injury bug hit them hard, and so they had players in and out. Right now, they're 5th in the West right now. They were 7th. Wow. Oh yeah, they jumped up. It wasn't because of them that they jumped up. It was because of other teams dropped. Minnesota lost 3 in a row, and that dropped them because Minnesota was, I think, 4th. And so the Lakers jumped up because of their loss. And the Lakers won 2 in a row. They won against Toronto, and most recently they won against the Denver Nuggets. And me being a diehard Laker fan, I'm watching the game, and I stress when I watch them. But anyway, that's what the Buss family drama was about. So the Jeanie Buss is the controlling interest. I think she still has controlling interest, still has her shares, but they sold it to this guy, this big billionaire. And if he's the same guy that bought the Dodgers, and look what he did for the Dodgers. He got them around a championship, because what he did was he took his own money and said, get what we need. What player, who we need? We need to get okay. How much we need to pay him? Go ahead and pay him. I got you. Got it covered. So that's what everybody's thinking he's going to do for the Lakers is get what you need. Now the baseball and basketball have two different salary caps, just like football has a different salary cap. Everybody has a different hard cap. Basketball is harder to get players because they're trying to eliminate those what they call super teams, where you get all these star players to one team, and you dominate the league, and other teams say that's not fair because we don't have the revenue that you have. You can't do that. So NBA start putting hard caps on people and start taxing teams for going over that cap. And no matter how much money you got, if somebody tax you, I don't care how much money you got. Taxing is hard. If you're making 30 million and they taxing you 15 of that 30, then you got a problem. You're like, oh no, I ain't doing that. It may not be that much to you, but after a while, it adds up. So I'm not saying that's how it really works, but I know that they tax you if you go over a certain cap. It's like a hard cap. If you go over, they tax the team, and the team has to pay those taxes back to the league. How much they went over or whatever. So a lot of teams try to stay under that cap and try to build what they have inside the organization. And sometimes it's hard, but sometimes you can do it. Like a team like Oklahoma City Thunder, their whole team is turned into stars because they built their team up. They tore it down. They got rid of a whole bunch of people. They got a whole bunch of draft picks. They drafted all these players, and look at them, they're NBA championship. And the way they're going now, they might repeat because right now they are 32-10 and on top of the West, leading the league. So they might be able to be right back in. I'm sorry, they're not 32. I'm sorry, I was looking at the Detroit Pistons. That's Oklahoma City Thunder is 37-8. They're kind of coming back down a little bit, but they started off hard, and that's why they're up over the second place team. They're up 6.5 games over San Antonio. San Antonio's in second, and they got 6.5 games on them. So it would take a drastic catastrophe for the Oklahoma City not to be back in the NBA Finals or back in the playoffs. And I bet my money on it. I'm a diehard Laker fan, but right now, I think OKC has what it takes to repeat. And if they can repeat, it'll be the first team to repeat in the NBA in over, I believe, 6-7 years. So the last repeat championship, I believe, was the Golden State Warriors. I believe. I'll look at that, but I believe that's what it was. Let me check it real quick before we get off of here. But guys, thank you for listening to the podcast. Thank you for all your comments, concerns. Thank you for all your downloads. Thank you for subscribing to the podcast. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for checking me out on all my different platforms. You can catch this podcast on Spotify. You can catch it on Apple Podcasts. You can catch it on YouTube. You can even catch my little shorts on TikTok. If you go to TikTok and type in Johnny Ray /Ray on Sports, you can see my shorts. I'm sorry. I got last back-to-back NBA championship. You can catch it on there. And and if you want to hit me up, you can always hit me up at rayonsports0905@gmail.com. That's Ray on Sports 0905 at gmail.com. So I was right. Golden State Warriors were the last team to be back-to-back championships. And that was in 2017, 2018. So it's been, about 6-7 years, almost 10. Wow. It's been like 8 years since the last back-to-back championship we had in the NBA, because every year it's another team that wins. And then and they always say it's so hard to repeat as champions. So we'll see if OKC has what it takes to repeat. And also we'll see this weekend what the NFL has for us this weekend. Once again, my picks are Seattle Seahawks, and I want to say New England Patriots. Denver might have a chance, but I'll say in the Super Bowl, my pick will be Seattle Seahawks versus New England Patriots. And the winner of that game, I would give to the New England Patriots. I think the Seahawks can do it, but I think the Patriots have a better quarterback that can deal with that defense. I think I give the Rams a little credit, but you're going up to Seattle and those people up there, oh my God, that crowd noise, that 12th man is unbelievable. But I believe on a medium turf, which is going to be in Santa Clara, at the home of the 49ers, where the Super Bowl is going to be at this year, I give the edge to the New England Patriots. So my pick for the Super Bowl, New England Patriots. My pick for the championship games this weekend, Seattle Seahawks, maybe by a field goal. And for the New England game, if New England gets on a roll, I believe they'll beat them by maybe 14 by 2 touchdowns. That's my pick. You don't have to go to any sites and say, hey, Johnny said so and so by this pick. Do it on your own. That's just the way I feel about it. But thank you guys for once again. This has been Johnny Ray for Ray on Sports. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you talking to me. Appreciate you taking this ride, listening to me. I'm trying to play some music in the background, see if it works. Here. Trying to be the number one sports podcast in 2026. Help me do it. Download the podcast. Listen to the podcast. Let me know your opinion on what I'm talking about. How do you feel about it? Give me your opinion. Once again, this is Johnny Ray, Ray on Sports. Thank you guys for listening. Take care and God bless. Ray on Sports is sponsored by nobody.